Have you struggled with losing weight your whole life and found yourself stuck in a cycle of diets and disappointment? Me too. After 20 years of obsessing over losing weight, I finally found the key to true confidence in your relationship with your body, and I'm going to teach you all about that in this video. So by the end of this video, you are going to have a very clear plan on how to finally break free of this toxic cycle with your weight and actually have peace and confidence with your body. I've helped women worldwide to break free of these lifelong struggles with their weight and really step out of this toxic cycle and into peace, freedom, self-love, and confidence with themselves and their body so they can get out of the shadows of their lives and actually start living it to the fullest, the way they truly deserve. Recently, one of my clients, Stephanie, shared this was the best decision I made for myself. When I came to work with Giulia, I had lost weight and I still didn't feel good enough. I now feel so differently about myself. I used to have that belief, I'll be good enough when, ... There was always something I had to change in order to be good enough, and I don't feel that way anymore. I finally feel good enough as I am, body, personality, me. Do it, invest in yourself. You will not regret it. It is amazing. This is the work that I've dedicated my life to and that I love so much. So if you are really struggling in your relationship with your weight, you are tired of being stuck in this toxic cycle with diets, and you just want to have peace, freedom, and confidence within yourself and your body so you can live life to the fullest, there is a link below to connect with me directly and book a call with me. Now let's get into the video. So I obsessed over losing weight for 20 plus years, and I'm going to teach you these 3 life-changing things I learned that in turn supported me to have the relationship I've always dreamed of with my body and my weight and my life. Okay, number 1, I learned that dieting is not the answer. I was on diets from the time I was probably 13 or 14 years old and actually developed anorexia when I was in high school. And I learned even in that instant how painful this chase to be thin was. This struggle with anorexia really taught me how much of my life was taken away by this illness and this fixation on being thin and not eating. I watched myself be incapable of having conversations with people and being present and saying no to vacations and opportunities because my mind was so obsessed over dieting and losing weight and looking a certain way. I was always convinced that if only I could lose a little bit of weight and change different parts of my body, then I would finally be a confident, worthy person. And even though I overcame that disorder and the struggle with anorexia, this mindset and this fixation over dieting really stayed with me for most of my life. And I learned the hard way that no matter what diet I did, no matter how hard I tried, I was never happy with the way I looked, and no amount of weight loss was ever good enough. And I learned at a very critical point in my life from doing diet after diet after diet, my body just started to actually rebel against me and started to collapse. And a lot of functions in my body started to deteriorate. I experienced metabolic struggles. I had so many issues with my appetite. I was binge and emotional eating. I was experiencing terrible anxiety and mental health issues. I was experiencing thyroid struggles, issues with my gut. My hormones were all imbalanced. I was getting cysts in my uterus. I was experiencing weight gain and inflammation, cortisol imbalances. My whole body just basically started to go, this is not working for you anymore. You have to stop this fixation with dieting. So not only was my life and my quality of life suffering because I truly couldn't be present in anything I did. Anytime there was a vacation or an opportunity to go do something with friends, my answer would always be, well, what am I going to eat and what am I going to do and how am I going to be able to sustain being there? I'm going to have to come back home and then, diet more and make up for it. It was so unhealthy. And then, finally my body started to catch up and go, this is not working. And so when I was about 30 years old, that's when I had this really big eruption in my health where I finally realized all this dieting is catching up with me, and my body started to become so inflamed, and I actually put on about 20 pounds of just inflammation and weight, and no amount of further dieting could actually reduce that weight. I just kind of learned this dieting actually really messed up my body, and I really had to learn this hard truth that dieting also wasn't going to be the answer to me having the relationship I wanted with my body. Dieting was actually like slowly killing me. And that was a really huge wake-up call, and it took me about 20 years to realize dieting is not the answer to have the relationship you want with your body, and that it is absolutely possible for you to have the relationship you've always wanted with your body without having to diet and obsess over the scale. So my first step was to actually get rid of the scale and to really decide I'm not going to diet. I'm actually going to learn how to have a healthy, peaceful relationship with food, something that I had never had my whole entire life, and I'm going to learn how to do this differently. So the second thing I realized after I really figured out that dieting was keeping me sick and stuck is that the problem wasn't actually my weight and my body. The problem was my mind. The problem was all of this societal conditioning that we have around weight and what we're supposed to look like, and what is acceptable and how you're supposed to look in order to be happy and worthy in the world. I finally actually woke up to realize it's not my fault. It's not my fault that I hate my body. It's not my fault that I have obsessed over dieting my whole life. This is the society in which we live in. And while I knew in that moment I don't have control over what they do out there, I do have control over how I operate my life and who I choose to be and what I choose to believe in. So I actually shifted my focus from obsessing over weight loss and dieting, which clearly only made me sick and inevitably made me gain a bunch of weight. I actually focused on my mind and reprogramming my brain. I focused on really uncovering all of these thoughts and beliefs that played on repeat. I would journal like all these repetitive thoughts that I had about myself, all those really low vibration, really negative, really insecure thoughts and beliefs that I had about myself, and I would see them so clearly. And then from there, I was able to use really specific tools like emotional freedom techniques, otherwise known as tapping, to teach my brain how to basically remove those thoughts from my vocabulary and my constant default network and learn new empowered thoughts about myself. It was crazy. I totally reprogrammed my brain. And the beautiful thing about our brain is that it is so plastic and malleable, and we can absolutely teach it new things. We can't change the conditioning that we receive out here in the world, but we can absolutely change our resilience to it. And most people don't realize that all this conditioning, all these negative beliefs that you carry about yourself and the way you look make you sick. They don't just impact your mental health, they actually impact your nervous system and all the functions that your nervous system is responsible for. And we'll talk about the nervous system momentarily. But I realized that all these toxic thoughts and beliefs were obviously keeping me stuck in this toxic cycle with dieting, but they were also really damaging not only my mental health, but my hormones, and really contributing to all this toxicity. So I finally got it. I finally woke up and went, surely I can have the relationship I want with my body and my life and my self-esteem without being in prison to diets all day long for the rest of my life. And I also knew that I couldn't possibly keep up that diet charade because it was literally costing me my life. I can't tell you how many days I went to sleep bawling and crying myself to sleep, just praying for some kind of solution to get out of this unworthiness. So I really switched the focus from food and obsessing over that to obsessing over how to really master my mind and becoming a person who had very empowering thoughts about herself and really clearing all of this anxiety that I had about food. Like I had to learn how to clear anxiety that I had about carbohydrates and different food groups that I had to cut out. I learned how to clear anxiety and beliefs that I had around, what happens if I eat this much food? I'm afraid that I'm going to gain weight. Like there was so much that I had to really pull out of here and learn how to heal. And I have to tell you that made the biggest impact on my life in every single way, because I actually learned that I'm a very worthy individual irrespective of what my weight was. I actually learned how to love myself the most when I was at my most heaviest weight in my life, because I did all that work. If I continued to obsess over dieting, I would still be on that path for the rest of my life and I would never be a happy person. And that's really one of the most important messages that I learned. Diet culture wants you to hate yourself. Diet culture wants you to feel unworthy because that's how you participate in it. Being on diets is not sustainable. It is not something you can keep up. Neither are any of those weight loss drugs and medications that are out there right now. You'll be stuck on that forever and you'll always be tortured by that because it isn't something that is sustainable. It's just not. And they have a lot of consequences to your health and well-being. And unless you actually fix the problem of what's really going on within you, which is your deep-seated sense of unworthiness, which again, you have through no fault of your own, you're never going to be happy and you're never going to feel enough. It's just that simple. And doing that inner work will not only make you feel so worthy and confident, but from such an unshakable place inside of you that all of these things will start to matter so much less. And that's so important. That's something no one can take away from you. If you keep going on this diet train, there's always going to be some new diet to do. Again, it's never going to be sustainable. Your body's going to keep doing this yo-yo thing and you're going to continue to be miserable because that's just reliably how it works. Am I right? It has a very big cost in your quality of life, which I'm not sure that you're willing to do anymore considering you're watching this video. Number 3, I learned this very important hack that if you do take care of your nervous system and you do have love and respect for yourself, it becomes a lot easier to have the ideal relationship that you want with your body and your weight and actually experience sustainable weight loss because it's coming from a sustainable place. When we have compassion and acceptance for ourselves, that's an energy that's very big. There's a lot of vibration behind that energy. If you compare someone who's in a state of shame to someone who's in a state of acceptance and compassion for themselves, your nervous system is in 2 very different states. When we're stuck in shame and unworthiness about our body, which is usually what fuels us to diet, our nervous system actually is often in a state of complete collapse and the dorsal vagal shutdown branch of our nervous system, which means that you have so little energy available to you and your nervous system is so collapsed that you actually physically cannot keep up many actions that are supportive for your health because you are so collapsed in that energy. And so nothing gets sustained, nothing gets maintained. Very hard to hate yourself into positive change. However, when you love and respect yourself, regardless of what you look like, and you have goals of losing weight from a loving place, it becomes very simple and very sustainable because you want to take care of yourself and love yourself into positive change. Most people get this very confused and they think if I accept myself, it means I'm just going to become complacent and I'm not going to do anything. That can be the furthest thing from the truth. And it's so important to recognize this. If you drop the fighting and you actually start to become unified with yourself and all parts of you, all systems go in that same direction. And that's exactly what I learned. When I stopped fighting myself, I stopped fixating over dieting. I actually just learned how to have a loving relationship with myself, all parts of me, to heal all this toxicity in my brain. My body actually just started changing and releasing all this inflammation because I was carrying so much emotional pain and distress and stress. And my nervous system was so collapsed and so dysregulated. And when we have a dysregulated nervous system, guess what else is dysregulated? Your hormones, the way you metabolize food, your ability to even digest food. People who have nervous system dysregulation, also it's very common for you to have chronic illnesses, which make losing weight very challenging. And if you have a past history of painful events in your life or trauma, just as the ACE study demonstrates, people who have that history also experience challenges with losing weight because it goes hand in hand with your nervous system health. Here are some things that I would recommend that you focus on instead of this obsession with losing weight, which is keeping you stuck. Drop the diets. Learn how to heal your relationship with food so you're not afraid of food. Learn how to nourish and take care of your body because you need food to thrive. Learn how to heal your mind and all these toxic thoughts that are keeping you stuck, and take loving care of your nervous system. If you have a healthy nervous system, it is going to be so much easier for you to have a healthy relationship with your weight and maintain weight loss because you are primed in that optimal place to make those things a reality. Again, when you have love and respect for yourself, making goals happen like weight loss becomes so much easier. And not only that, but you have a very different quality of life when you love and accept yourself than when you actually hate yourself and you're riddled in insecurity. I think you know that that's very true. So I hope this was helpful. And I just want to show you quickly the difference in what my body looked like when I was sick and dieting all the time versus never dieting again, just focusing on eating quality foods and moving my body in a way that I find enjoyable and pleasurable, which is sustainable and taking care of my nervous system and my mind. Diet culture doesn't want you to know this because they don't want you to love yourself. You don't profit any diet industry or weight loss industry when you love yourself. Okay, so those are the facts. I hope that was helpful. Let me know what comment you're taking away from here. And remember that if you are feeling really stuck in this toxic relationship with your weight and dieting, and you just want to have a loving, peaceful relationship with your body, you want to feel confident in who you are, and you want to actually go out there and live your life instead of hiding in the shadows of your life, you know exactly how to get in touch with me. There's a link below to book a complimentary consult call with me. Love you lots, and I'll see you again soon.